Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend. And you know, I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. And today I just wanted to share one of my musings about compassion. What does the world need more of right now? Compassion. I'm coming off of having COVID for the second time in my life. And the second time was almost as hard as the first time. I'm not one of the ones that gets COVID mildly, at least not yet. And so whenever I get down like that, it kind of is an indication or is a reminder to me, first of all, to go in, be a little introspective, but it's also a reminder to me of how much we need more compassion in this world. I struggle with, first and foremost, let me say this. I'm very Pollyanna. I lean towards being um, positive and optimistic and just seeing the bright side of things. And, you know, I love affirmations. I love all things positive. I really do. However, there is the human part of me that realizes that that's just not possible. And nothing has made it more apparent to me than feeling down and out. And I just give thanks to the Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. Anytime I struggle, y'all show up. And I hope that I'm showing up for you like you show up for me. I really, really appreciate it because I did not get, we need more compassion because of you all. I got it. Just living life in general. It's kind of like, I don't know if social media is numbing us or how, and you know, I'm in the United States. I don't really know what it's like in other places, but how toxic the environment is right now in terms of how people are getting along. And it's interesting as a Black woman from South USA. I'm from one of the most racist states in the nation, Mississippi, raised in, you know, raised up there the majority of my life. I consider Mississippi to be my childhood home. I'm in a state that I think is trying to win the title for being one of the most racist states. Tennessee, lived here the majority of my adult life, and even I think back to a time where I remember it was like there's always been racism, but it's nothing like it is right now. And my response to racism, bigotry, I oppose people putting down folks for being a part of the LGBT community. I just think everyone should be able to live their life as long as it's not hurting anyone else. We have to begin to question, why do we think people are wrong for being who they are? Because there are people who think I'm wrong just because I'm Black. I've been listening to a lot of videos about cults here lately. I'm obsessed with cults and Mormonism in particular. There are a lot of teachings in Mormonism that Black people are just wrong, we're bad, we're low level. It's ridiculous. It makes 0 sense, and I don't see it any differently for anyone who's in the LGBTQIA+ community. I don't see it any differently for people who are differently abled, for people who have mental health. I'm like, wow. So what I began to think about today is one of the problems with the United States of America is inherent and baked into the psyche and the consciousness, which started at the beginning, is this lack of compassion to just come and take somebody else's land, treat them like crap. That whole energy and mindset has been baked into the whole consciousness and mindset of the United States. And I caution us all to think that we're above that just because maybe we don't come from the people, we're not the descendants of the ones who took over. And some of us are. I mean, if we really think about it, how many of us got a white ancestor somewhere? We got some of this in us. but it's baked into the consciousness of this country. And, we are at the Pluto return. We're at a time where the country is being rebirthed as of this recording, February 24th, 2024. So we get to begin to do something new and different. But right now, to me, it's in my lifetime, it's not the worst that it's ever been, but in my lifetime, it feels like the worst that it's ever been. I will even say I'm guilty. I was driving today and, it's so funny. This morning, found this healing recording by Louise Hay about releasing anger. I am a Pollyanna. And so there's a lot of times that I think anger is hidden inside of me. And I was like, hey, I want to address this anger. Again, I do not think it's natural and normal for people to just be happy all the time. I do believe we can be at peace. I do believe there's a level of contentment, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong where, because this is what it means to be human. We're going to have negative expressions or where we don't feel good. We're going to be angry. We're going to be sad. We're going to grieve. And sometimes it's not easy just to turn the boat around and just be like, "Oh, I'm just so happy." Sometimes it's, I'm into astrology. Our astrology will have us feeling down and out. And I just struggle with us feeling like we always have to, like, there's something wrong. We're not doing a good job if we go into the negative. And so, um, listened to this video, to this audio today, and it's all about releasing anger. And so I notice that when I'm out and about, if I see people who I think, and I'm being 100 and transparent with you all, because I am very political, I'm very much into activism. When I see people who are Trump supporters and I drove behind someone today, I just immediately just started feeling angry. So I'm like, not much better. I could justify it. I could tell myself why I'm right, why I am right, and why they are wrong. But it just gets, that's why I'm like, to me, I've never seen a time like this where it's just so easy for us just to be like us and them, right? Not since I've been born. And so, um, I just started thinking about how there's something up when people can't say I'm struggling. That's the thing that kind of comes to me every time I get ill. Well, really just only when I get COVID. The first time I got COVID, it was very new. Not many people I knew had had it yet. And folks wanted to just believe you could just get over COVID really quickly. And there were a lot of people who did. But I was not one of those people. I had long haul COVID or long COVID, whatever it's called. And I just couldn't shake it. And I remember thinking how frustrating it is, that people aren't okay with people not being okay. And I started feeling that way this time. There was just a point where I was just like, I even cried. I felt so bad at some point, but I felt kind of alone and just kind of like, "Oh, you just have COVID." And I don't know. Sometimes I just kind of feel like, where's the love? Where's the love? If somebody feels down, and I think it's terrible that sometimes people have to get so ill. It is an illness that you cannot deny the severity of it and how life-threatening it is. Oh, everybody is showing up for that person. But I'm like, I think people would be so much better off if we could have more compassion for them. And I think that it's important for us to realize how baked in it is, this, go hard, be hard, um, just suck it up and get over it. That kind of thing is just, that messaging is given to us so much that we take it on, and we just think that that's just, like, the best way to be. We value that versus having some tender, loving care. I think it also stems from religion, not just one religion, many religions. I've just been listening to all of the videos about cults and how so many people get caught up in the cult because there's this message of you got to be strong, you got to be tough, and it will make you desensitize yourself. It will make you turn off. Um, like, this is too much. I don't feel good with this thing. I was listening to one about Bikram yoga today and how these people they would turn the heat up on these teacher trainings and have them training for hours on top of hours and sleep deprivation, lack of water, lack of food. And it's just always this message of, you just got to tough it out. And what does that do? It makes us have to numb ourselves. Anyone who has experienced trauma or a really hard time where it was just like, really and truly, I just gotta dig deep and do this thing. And I want us to not be able to do that so much. Sometimes we do need to do it. Whatever life is calling you to do, I have an online business and there have been so many days where it's just like I have to turn off. It's almost like I have to numb myself in order to get myself to the other side of doing something that feels very difficult. But I should not do that too much. I wanna have the ability to do it, but that should not be my typical method of operation. That should not be our typical mode of experiencing life. There needs to be a time where it's like, "Oh, poor baby. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." We as adults need that just like our little children need it. And I even remember seeing so many people tell little kids, tough it up, stop crying, drop your tears. I'm like, this kid hadn't even gone through puberty. This is a little tiny human. Like, why do we tell children to dry up their tears? Right. And so, if we telling the little ones, even though we might give the little ones more compassion and care, but if we're telling them, tough it out, stop, drop those tears right now, get tough, you got to be strong, then we definitely not offering that in general. I'm speaking in general to people who are struggling. And even the ones with the life threatening illnesses. There's a young woman who I know since she was a little girl. I went to an African dance class and she would come and oh my gosh, she's just such an amazing dancer. She came to my class as an adult, has even brought her girls to my African dance class. And I could not believe that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Thank goodness she has received a diagnosis that her health has been fully restored. And, I like saying that better than cancer free, but that's essentially what that means. And I could not believe the number of people who like she is sharing on Facebook because we know a lot of times this is our connection to our people, right? It's so much easier too than old school day having to get on the phone one by one by one. So she's been sharing on Facebook and um how many people have criticized her for sharing her journey or trying to tell her whatever it is that they disagree with about her expression of it or whatever. When the way I read her post, I mean, I maybe she's 30. She's probably in her 30s, but she's very young. I wouldn't even put her at 35. If she's at 30, I would put her right at 30 at most. And it is startling to me that what I saw, and maybe it's just because I remember her when she was a little girl. She's real tall, she's an Amazon, and she's always been very curvy. So, yeah, she might be big, she has this big personality, but what the way I saw her message was, "I'm struggling, and this is my way of asking for support." Now, I will say she was hitting back at the because she does have a strong personality. So she was hitting back at folks, but, um, I see her post as my opportunity to offer her love and care. It was breast cancer, so of course, it's soft place in my heart. so many women in my family who have dealt with breast cancer, and especially my mom, and my mother-in-law, but, um okay, and my auntie. But, I have a slew of friends who've had it. It is really and truly something that is probably all of us know somebody, many people who've dealt with it, died from it, or whatever. So I'm a softie, and that's just how I see it. Sometimes when people are putting things on social media, I'm like, "What if this is their last ditch effort to get support before they do something that might hurt themselves, or maybe they sink deeper into, despair? What if just one kind I see you, one kind word, I see you, I hear you. I can give them that. It does not cost any money to care. It doesn't. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I just want to say it. We need more compassion. Even when I think about MAGA people, you know, there's a part of me that, well, the majority of me is like, I don't like these people. I mean, I need to be 100. If anybody needs compassion from Tyra, it would be MAGA people. The way that I can extend compassion is just, you know, they're caught up in a cult. Keep your stuff off of me, and I'll leave you alone. If for the ones that come out of the cult, I have a policy of not judging them. If they come out of that cult, it's just like, okay, they came out. Even if they don't have to be, for my candidate, they don't even have to be trying to stop other people from being a part of the MAGA cult. But I will just leave them alone. I won't fault them or anything. That's my way of offering compassion. That's all I got right there, y'all. That's as good as it. Those are the ones I struggle with the most. Um, but I want you to, number 1, consider how much are you giving yourself compassion? How much are you forcing yourself to do things that, just because it's like, I want to be strong, I want to be tough. Um, and if that works for you, sometimes I'm that way with myself. It's called fierce self-compassion, where it's like, "Hey, Tyra, you need to, buck up. If you say you want a business, if you say you wanna lose weight, if you say you wanna achieve this particular goal and it's taking more than what you realized it would take, then there are gonna be times where I'm like, 'Hey, we're gonna get this done,' and on the other side, you're gonna be so much more proud of yourself for doing it." But if, like, for instance, the first time I had COVID, because I didn't understand it, as soon as I felt better, I went back into overworking, and that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of long COVID for me. I noticed whenever I pushed myself too much, that's when I would have almost felt like I got COVID again, but it wasn't me getting COVID again, but it was like I had a COVID response. I don't know how to explain it. People who've experienced it know what I'm talking about. And so COVID taught me, when you do not feel well, that's a sign that you need a rest break. You need to lay low. You need to, there've been so many times where it's like, I didn't even notice I was thirsty. I'm just working, 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 working. Is overworking is definitely something I struggle with. And so, you know, those are the kinds of things that I want us to begin to notice. How many times can we tell ourselves, girl, just go on ahead and lay in bed? If you're like me, I really have to mentally prepare myself for when I stay in bed longer than I typically do, because I trained myself for so many years to think the more, I get up early and start working. Early bird catches the worm. There's still a part of me that believes that, and it works for me in a lot of ways. But I'm a morning person too. The early bird catches the worm, but there's a lot of people that's catching worms later in the day too, right? And it's good to lay in bed, for a while, or it's good to just do nothing. And that's what I did during COVID too. This time I knew what to do. I turned on some little movies and just let myself. There were moments where I was like, I don't know what the day is. I don't know what the time is. I'm just in the moment, right? And the more we can extend, compassion to ourselves, it's easier to extend compassion to other people. And we want so for me, the other thing that I want to just offer, for me, I notice there's a lack of compassion the more I am judgy. Again, I'm being 100% with y'all. I am well, y'all heard me go down the list of all the people who I'm standing for. Um, I have an astrological placement that makes me be judgy. It's Jupiter in the first house. If you have a prominent Jupiter, especially like in the first house or third house, because that's like how you think and how you speak, maybe ninth house. If you're a Sagittarius, sun, moon, or ascendant, I even think Aquarius could be a little bit judgy. Capricorn, Virgo, these are signs that could be very, very judgy. And so when you recognize, if you're like me, that you have a tendency towards being judgy, then that might be a sign that you want to offer compassion, or at the very least, go into neutrality. Choose neutrality over being judgmental. But when we think about, for instance, having a mindfulness practice, which is largely about being present to what is without judgment and with curiosity, then when we see somebody who is struggling, who looks like of the pack, they're the weak one that the wolf or the lion or whoever can come and snatch up, then, it's like we want to begin to train ourselves to at least think compassionate thoughts. Maybe we can't do anything about them, but maybe we want to think compassionate thoughts, or what's like the most compassionate thing we can do. And a lot of times when we think about compassion, it's all about, I want to relieve your suffering. I would like to take some action that would help to relieve this person's suffering. And one of my most simple ways of doing this, as a Pisces baby, I could be helping everybody and getting, not making no money. I could just be out in the streets helping folks, right? Um, so I need boundaries. So one of the things I do is I say the Ho'oponopono prayer. In my heart, that prayer works. And so I do that. Other folks might have something that they do to offer compassion to alleviate another person's suffering or an animal suffering, a plant, the planet, whatever it is. Um, Maybe there is some action that you actually can take, but we want to begin to find, how can we extend more compassion into the world? I do think this is a chief lesson for us right now. We still have Neptune in Pisces, and at the same time, Saturn is there. And I've been wondering, how is this going to come through? How is this Saturn, especially in Pisces, how is this going to play out? And it just made me think today, part of the message that we need is we need more compassion. We need to be bringing more of that into this world. And I think the world won't look so harsh and cold and um, harmful, and it won't make us be so fearful of what we see. And the compassion is like it has a ripple effect. I just think about it just made me feel so good. I went to the grocery store and I was wearing my mask, and I can't tell you how many people kind of like, in my opinion, they kind of like looked at me weird for wearing a mask. And I'm like, y'all, in a post-COVID world, a mask should not bother anybody. As a matter of fact, a mask should let you know either this person is doing the best to protect their health, or this person is trying to protect y'all. Um, and it's so easy for me just to get irritated everywhere in Tennessee because I never know who's who in this red state, right? I'm just being 100. Y'all. I struggle living in Tennessee and judging folks until they prove themselves innocent. So I go to the register and I tell the lady, because I bought some medicine that she needed to check my ID. So I took my ID, I laid it down on um, the register, and I stepped back. And I said, "I'm ill right now. That's why I'm stepping back." But there's my ID. So she checked it. And as I walked out the store, she said, "I hope you feel better." Oh my God. When I tell you how much that touched my heart, I just wish that we could give more and more people that way. That give them that gift. And that's something I know I need to work on in this post Trump world. I pray it's post Trump. I know we got to get to the election, but anywho, I really and truly need to do a better job of being more kind. I've worked on raising my eyes up more, looking at people and at least giving them a chance. It wasn't this way before Trump was president. Yeah, I can speak to everybody. I'm from Mississippi. It's a hospitality state. As racist as that state is, I'm telling y'all, just in passing and speaking. Now, I'm not saying you go down there and talk to folks. You ain't gonna find racism because we already know Mississippi it still got its problems. But in general, when I go home, it truly is a place where people just speak everywhere. You just throw your hand up, doesn't matter ethnicity, nothing. Tennessee feels different for me. And so, I need to be more like my hospitality roots. And the other thing that I have to remind myself of is I am a compassionate person and I don't give it expecting anything in return because, again, compassion is about relieving suffering. And so maybe one of the other things I want to think about, and maybe you want to think about this, is maybe we want to relieve people suffering from racism. Maybe we want to relieve people suffering from sexism, relieve people suffering. Because I'm telling you, people, even though they sit on their high horse and talk about all these different groups that they think are just wrong for being who they are, they disagree, which is an opinion. I don't care what anyone says. There is no truth really in this world. The most anything that we want to talk about is a belief, it's an opinion. The truth would be things like I'm not gonna lie, I think gravity is a truth, right? The sun will rise and set. That's a truth. That's a fact. We're not who is arguing that, right? There are the truths, the universal truths, but what most people hold in their mind as truth is an opinion. And so when people do that, like to create a distance and a separation between you and someone else, especially when it's just far reaching, like just people judging whole groups of people. And I'm not talking about those of us who protect ourselves because I do put space between me. If I think you racist, there will be space. Boo boo. There will be space. There's gonna be a lot of space. All right. But that doesn't mean I think well, this is what I think. That person that doesn't like somebody just because of how they look, because of white supremacy, they actually are suffering. That cannot be healthy. Now I'm gonna let them sit with it and deal with it. I'm not trying to heal it, but compassion, when we're wanting someone to be relieved of something, I would like for people to be relieved of, just these lies, these flaws, these fallacies. It's creating illness, sickness. I can't imagine how many souls are having to come back just because they bought into white supremacy. I think white supremacy is something that is odd and the just how pervasive it is because, you can go to, let's say, some of these Latino communities. When I look at them, they don't look white, but they consider themselves to be white because they're white amongst the Latinos or whatever. So many people think white is right. Like this blows my mind. I don't understand white supremacy, but and I think it's a sickness and yeah, so it's not so much my talk today about that. You're hearing more examples that I struggle with in terms of, I need to offer compassion or what compassion could do for them. My focus mostly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm be 100. I really want to offer a lot of compassion to women That's the number one group outside of children. Children will get my compassion any day. I will stand up for children. I don't like it when people label children, and I don't know, it's just kind of like the disrespect people have towards children as being sentient beings from, the divine. So, a lot of people use the word God. I'm like, how do you treat children like this? And it's just lack of, you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir. Just lack of understanding. When I think about African cultures and other indigenous cultures seeing children as returned ancestors, to me, that is one of the best ways to make sure we're not treating our children like crap. If this is grandma return, great granddad return, auntie, uncle return, whoever, is this really how we want to be treating them in this child form? Like, wow. But yeah, more compassion for women and children. That's really what I want to focus on. So I just encourage you to think about, are you giving yourself enough compassion? And what can you do to offer yourself more compassion? I have a book recommendation that I will share with you all in the description box. And also, what are you going to do? What small act can you do every day to extend compassion to someone else? Okay, thank y'all so much for listening. And, if you are watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear your thoughts about why the world needs more compassion and what that means to you, how that's playing out. Are you offering yourself enough compassion? I would love, love, love to hear that from you. And thank you all so much for either watching or listening. This is Tyra Omilade, and I send you so much love. Whatever is going on in your life, I just extend my heart to you. One of my ways of extending compassion is I always like to write big hugs. So I'm sending you big hugs and just lots of care and concern. And just know that you matter and how you feel matters. And you don't need to always feel good. It's okay if you don't feel good today. All right. All right. Take care. Thank you all so much for being here. Please like the video also and share it with someone who you think may benefit from hearing about the message of, hey, we need more compassion. All right. Take care. Love y'all.